Forget gurus. Forget anyone claiming to be an online business expert without going through the challenges of entrepreneurship themselves. The Real Money, Real Business podcast is here to prove the best insights in online business comes from your fellow online business builders. We dig into stories of entrepreneurs selling their business on the Empire Flippers marketplace so that you can learn how they made their business profitable, how they overcame obstacles, and what lessons they learned in their online journey. If you want to take your business and your knowledge to the next level, you've come to the right podcast. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Real Money, Real Business podcast. We record these interviews so that potential buyers can learn more about the business and the seller to help them make an informed buying decision. If you would like to learn more about this business, including details like what type of business it is, how much revenue and profit it makes, and all of the assets included with the business, simply visit empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for this business's listing number, which you can find in the video thumbnail and in the description. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, you can click the link in the description to go straight to the listing. So without further ado, let's get into this interview. First up, let's learn a little bit about you. Can you tell us about your background in building and running online businesses?
Hello, my name is James Thompson. I'm 33 and I'm from England. I started online business about 10 years ago. I started in eBay, selling on eBay just in the UK. Import and export, it was really simple. It wasn't private label. I was actually fulfilling the orders from my bedroom. Fast forward about 2 years, I moved to Thailand, or I was visiting Chiang Mai on a holiday, and I got exposed to online e-commerce and, how to make money online. And I kind of gravitated towards Amazon FBA because I had a history in manufacturing in the UK and dealing with logistics and management in general. So I felt quite comfortable in that domain. I got involved with my first Amazon FBA business. At the same time as that, I was also doing Amazon KDP. I found that with Amazon FBA, you needed quite a lot of money to buy the stock, especially with private label, to buy the stock. And often you weren't going to make your money back for several months, if not a year or more, depending on the success of the product. So at the same time, I also, whilst my products were, being manufactured, I also did Amazon KDP, and I launched something like 50 books in 3 or 4 months. Worked very hard on launching those books, and they've gone on to also make a lot of money and found quite good success with that. But what I found was I just enjoyed Amazon FBA more. I thought it was more tangible and I just understood products more. I've now created 4 Amazon selling accounts and I've sold 3 of them on Empire Flippers. My process has always been private label. I'm quite good at finding product opportunities, finding niches that are kind of medium to high demand and low competition. I very much enjoy developing the products, finding a strong USP, finding something that in the short term is going to get me clicks and going to get my buyers and customers' attention. But also in the long term, maybe it's harder for competitors to mimic. Fundamentally, I think it's important to look at perhaps the design of a product. Try to find a strong USP that's really going to kind of give you longevity. What I find with Amazon FBA is if you do a mediocre job, you're probably going to get mediocre returns. Maybe in the short term, you make good money, but if you want to have long-term success that might, garner decades of good returns, you need to have a USP with your product that customers really appreciate. Yeah, I've sold 3 Amazon FBA businesses. I haven't really stayed in touch with some of the buyers, but I can see that the products are still doing well on the accounts that I sold. With this business in particular, with my last business that I sold in 2022, I found that because of COVID, having quite a lot of the stock have to go via ocean, it can make the logistics a little bit fragile, a little bit vulnerable. So with this business, what I tried to do was find products that didn't have to go on a boat. They could be put on a plane and still have a decent profit margin. What you can find when you do that is you're making profit regardless of the shipping method, but you can act or react fastly. Let's say you start selling very well, you can get stock in quite quick, but you can also leverage better profit margins by shipping the goods via ocean. So that's what I kind of half focused on with this business, but also just the same fundamentals of creating products with good USPs. There's definitely things that I can recommend improving on this business, but I'll go into that on another question.
Why are you selling the business now instead of keeping it and growing it further?
I've decided to sell this business for two main reasons. One being that I'm a new father and I want to try to, over the next few years, have a little bit more time on my hands. And, you could say a little bit more money in the bank, a little bit more security. My plan is to take a good chunk of the funds I would make on this business sale and put them into some hard assets, some safe investments. So some of it is down to security for personal reasons. But the other reason is, in general, I'm quite good at finding products to launch on Amazon, finding good USPs and developing them. But Amazon FBA is a capital intense game, meaning you need a lot of money to make money. So my plan is to essentially, by selling this business, have more money available to once again create an Amazon account and launch more products. And I believe it can surpass the success of this current account merely on the fact that I'll just have a lot more money to invest in stock, which should yield me good returns, which would essentially be larger than what this business currently is generating me.
Can you describe the amount and the type of work that you do on this business to maintain it?
In general, I spend about 2 hours or less a week. At this point, those 2 hours are spent on just daily, just checking in, just checking the sales, checking buyer messages, checking that no critical events have happened. And then maybe once a week or twice a month, I spend a little bit more time on stock and logistics, just double checking that, I'm not going to run out of stock and creating shipments and things of that nature. And then I would say 1 to 2 hours a month, I also spend on PPC. I'm not a PPC specialist in any nature. I think my specialty within PPC is not wasting money, but I kind of in general keep the PPC campaigns very simple and tweak them to try and optimize for revenue growth or sometimes slowing down revenue if I'm concerned about stock. If I've had an influx of organic sales and I think perhaps I'm going to run out of stock before I can restock, I might pull back on PPC spend, stuff like that. But in general, I'm spending no more than 10 hours a month on this business.
So if you were to keep this business, what are some of the ways you would try to grow it?
Well, firstly, what I've found is definitely expanding all of the SKUs, as many marketplaces as possible, is a wise choice in general. About 4 months ago, I decided kind of on a whim to ship some stock to Australia. I'd actually never sold in Australia before. I thought that there wasn't many buyers, but I was wrong. So I shipped to Australia about 4 months ago. Things were a little bit slow at the start, but now it's on course to potentially generate 20 to 30% of the overall business's profits. Great profit margins, low competition, low maintenance. It's a very desirable marketplace. So in general, I would say I still have some SKUs that aren't in every marketplace. So I would slowly increase the stock level and make sure that I have all of my SKUs in every marketplace possible. That's number one. Number two, I would say increase the stock flow. So right now the business has got about, let's say, $30,000 to $40,000 in stock. If that number was to increase perhaps closer to $50,000, it could not only do what I just mentioned, which is to increase all of the SKUs in all marketplaces, which I think in general would just increase the profit overall and the revenue. By having more stock in circulation, you could then put more of the stock on a boat when shipping it to Amazon warehouses. So what I found is on 80% of my products, they can go on a plane or they can go on a boat. And sometimes I'm forced to put them on a plane if I'm selling too well or for whatever reason I need to rush in some stock. But in general, I could save somewhere from 60 cents to $1 per unit sold just by putting it on a boat. And in general, I could say maybe on average, we're selling 1,500 pieces a month. By increasing the stock level and having as many units, if not all units, going on a boat, you could realistically see returns of maybe an extra $1,000, maybe $1,500 just in profit by making the same revenue. So I would definitely recommend that. There are some SKUs that I think I've been slightly lazy on, which would greatly benefit by just having A+ content on the listings, videos made. One of the products in particular is slightly misunderstood product, or it's a new niche. And I don't think the niche is going anywhere. It's got great year-on-year growth, but some people not necessarily misunderstand the product, but they misunderstand the process or the experience. So I think having a video to show them how to use the product properly, what they might expect from the product experience, would not only help with user experience, but it could also be used as promos. So I think creating videos, then you can leverage video advertisements on Amazon. So I definitely recommend just improving the listings in general. And quick follow on from improving the listings would be to always try to improve the reviews. So in general, most of my products have above 4-star, very good review rating. I think customer feedback in general is very good, but one of the products, again, is a little bit misunderstood. And I think just having a review follow-up, either using something like ManyChat with a QR code, using the Facebook Messenger automated system, by setting all that up and connecting with the customer after the sale, I really think you could improve the star rating on that listing and just get more reviews in general. So I would really recommend doing that. Obviously, continuing to grow the catalog. So I think one of the products that we launched about 8 months ago was in the tarot niche. And we found very steady, consistent sales, consistent profits. I know that those products do very well in Q4, and we haven't even sold them in Q4 yet. But I know from historical data and from another product that I launched a few years ago on another account, that niche does very well in Q4. So I would just say in general, launch new products. And we've got a very healthy account, launch new products on it under the brand so you can leverage enhanced brand content. And I would also, like I said, launch some products in the tarot niche. I think they're going to continue to do well. Like I mentioned earlier in another recording, I'm not a PPC expert in any way. I think I do quite well at PPC, and my main thing is to not waste money in general. But I know that better qualified people to manage PPC. I know that more could be getting squeezed out of the PPC, whether that's just spending more or having better optimization, leveraging ads that I'm not even using. I'm kind of, when it comes to PPC ads on Amazon, I'm kind of 7 years old. I haven't really developed much. So I would recommend, for sure, more professional PPC approach. There's stuff you can do like price testing on the listings, but I would focus on what I've already mentioned. And as well, leveraging Q4 and the Christmas peak. I know from, again, historical data, all of the SKUs, but some more than others, do very well at Christmas. So I would increase stock for that time of year, increase PPC spend if necessary, and just enjoy the returns that you're likely to make in Q4.
Right. And what would you say are the biggest risks with this business that buyers should be aware of?
In general, you can apply business fundamentals to the Amazon model. So if you make poor choices, you can get repercussions, whether that's shipping in bad stock, ignoring customer feedback, spending too much on PPC advertisement to the point where you're essentially spending all of your available money so you can't buy new stock. In general, you just have to apply some business fundamentals. So there's risks just like with any business. You think selling on Amazon can go up or down. So in general, retail is quite consistent, retail sales, unless it's an incredibly new niche and the product itself is just very flimsy, whimsical. It's kind of like a viral trend and all these people are getting involved in it. Those things can disappear as fast as they come. But in general, and I would say this about all of the products that I sell, customers have been searching for these products for 5 to 10 years or more. They're not going anywhere. However, market conditions can change. Maybe people slowly stop searching for it, stop buying this product. So the trend is going down, or maybe lots of competition come in that make the slice of the pie smaller for yourself and you're making less money. You can always respond to these things. I've been doing that for 7-8 years. And I can say that if a product is starting to underperform, there's things that you can do to respond. And in general, what it can mean is you're just going to essentially take money out of that product. So you now don't have to hold as much stock because you're selling less of that product. Now you can take money out of that product and launch and put it into another product, launch another product that you think is going to do better. So the things of that nature that you might have to decide when you've been selling on Amazon for many years, like myself. But in the same breath, the opposite can happen where you're selling products and the trend is going up. Competition is disappearing for whatever reason, and you're making more and more sales. Just like any marketplace, it can go down, it can go up. And that's one of the risks, one of the concerns that you may need to have.
How much support are you willing to offer the buyer who acquires this business?
So I'm willing to give the kind of basic 60 to 90 days support to the new buyers. That means minimal phone calls if possible. I live in Thailand. Because of the time zone, it can be difficult depending on where the buyers are, of course. It may not be an issue. But with being a new father and in general being quite busy, I don't want to be an employee for the new buyers. But of course, I'm going to be available with any request that they need to help them for 60 to 90 days, let's say. But I've sold 3 Amazon accounts now. And if those buyers reached out to me with any advice, I would give them, free advice. I'm more than happy to kind of keep a line open, whether it's in 6 months or 2 years, where the buyers get in touch with me, just asking me about some products or asking me to give them any advice. I'm more than happy to do that.
Are you open to negotiating something like an earnout agreement?
This really depends on the details of the payout structure. Depends on the percentage of how much upfront and how much would be paid later. Depends under what conditions. I am open-minded, but I would much prefer, just a simple 100% payment. But I am open-minded.
Okay, final question. If you had to put yourself in the shoes of a buyer, why is your business a business worth buying?
There are 2 ways to answer this question. Number 1 is the e-commerce model that is Amazon FBA. I think it's a great model. I've been selling on Amazon doing private label for 8 years, and I intend to continue selling on Amazon doing private label. I don't think the platform is going anywhere. I think, if I'm not mistaken, the marketplace has year-on-year growth and a larger market share on internet retail sales. So I think you're in safe hands by partnering with Amazon, by selling on their platform. Specifically, why do I think my account is a good investment or a good business to buy? Well, again, just to touch on Amazon FBA as a whole, I think it's a very passive model. And there's definitely ways that you can spend time on other areas, try and elevate the business. But in general, the Amazon FBA side of the business is very automated, very passive for the returns. You can keep overheads very low. You don't need many people involved in managing this business. So it's very hands-off in general, especially if you know what you're doing. So you don't have to waste time or spend money on hiring people to do work for you. Furthermore, on my account, I think the products that we sell have good to great feedback. And I think they have room to be improved as well. I think the niches that we're in are either trending upwards or have very steady sales data. The profit margins we're generating are quite desirable in general. And some of the marketplaces were close to 40% or even higher than 40% profit margins. So it's very good for cash flow, especially if you have the option to put things on a plane. You have very good cash flow with this business. There's slight seasonality on this account. I think there'll be more sales in Q4 and Christmas, just like with any business. But in general, it's quite a predictable sales trend. It dips normally in the summer, depending on the product, but it dips normally in the summer. And then in Q1 and Q4, it tends to do better. Yeah, I think there's ways to improve this business. I think the niches are quite strong and steady. Profit margins are strong. The products are simple enough where There's not many calamities that can happen whilst using these products, and it takes very minimal time. And with the profits that the business generates, if they can be reinvested into the business to launch new products and do some of the things that I mentioned earlier, I think this business can make even more money with the products that it currently has and more money on top of that with launching new products.
All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. To learn more and see if this business is still for sale, head over to empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for this business listing number, which you can find in the video thumbnail and description. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, click the link in the description to go straight to the listing. Once you've unlocked this listing, you'll find everything you need to know about this business. So, thanks for joining us. See you next time.